So probably one of the main changes that has happened is, as you can tell from my YouTube channel, it's back to my name. It was with my name and my ex-girlfriend's name, but we have since broken up and we won't be obviously making videos together anymore. For the last part of our relationship, the last year of our relationship, we were in an open relationship, which is a whole other story that I won't get into right now. During that time, I met someone else, as can easily happen in open relationships, and we were open to that possibility of meeting other people, falling in love with other people, that kind of thing. And that's basically what happened. So I met someone else, I fell in love, and I am very, very happy. And, I feel like, yeah, sometimes life just surprises you. I never thought that was going to happen, but I don't know what else to say about this. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
In the year 2020, it has become common knowledge that the gold rush on YouTube has already come and gone. It was not obvious to anyone during that gold rush, while it unfolded, that that's what it was, and that's all it was. Now, I lived in Laos, small poverty-stricken country in Southeast Asia, during a literal gold rush, when the government briefly had a huge amount of money from gold and copper mining. And I remember talking to people, mostly government officials. In a communist country, a huge percentage of the population are government officials, telling them face to face, look, you've got this one mountain that's full of gold and copper. How many mountains like that do you think you have? Like, this is not going to last. Just 5 years from now, this is going to be over, and you're going to be back to being a hopeless, poverty-stricken country, and the gold is gone, and the copper is gone, and you've cut down all the forests. And what's the future for poverty-stricken Laos? It's very rare to have the detachment during a gold rush, while all that prosperity and optimism is surrounding you, to be the voice of reason and say, this too will pass. Okay? What's over? Two aspects of it, very briefly. One, when you look at the rise and fall of someone like Maddie Lymburner, who was completely and consciously stepping into the shoes of Durianrider and Freelee, that's not a conspiracy theory. She repeatedly met up with, cooperated with, collaborated with, and took advice and direction from Durianrider and Freelee themselves. They knew each other quite well personally. She modeled her early videos and her video career on Durianrider and Freelee. The idea that you could get 2 million views and quite a lot of money from filming yourself walking around in your underwear, in lingerie, or in a bikini on YouTube, that's over. In a more subtle and profound way, the potential to reach a large audience with challenging and unconventional ideas is also over, even though the numbers of people being reached might have been far fewer than 2 million per video. I have a very clear memory now of about 4 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, when Melissa and I were first getting together. I was teaching her a lot about, and talking to her a lot about, the assassination of both JFK and RFK. It just happened to be something she really had not grown up knowing about at all. She wasn't quite born into the right generation for conspiracy theories one way or the other. And, I was saying to her, well, look, some of the conspiracy theories are crazy, but the real history is very interesting, and the real history is not what you were told in your high school history textbook, so to speak. And so unpacking that. And while we were having those discussions, I was Googling around and checking what was available on YouTube. And at that time, there was a lot. There was a lot of really quality information that came up just doing a quick search within YouTube for RFK assassination and specific things related to the JFK assassination. That perspective, those types of voices today are gone. I'm not going to make the claim that YouTube has actually deleted those videos or suppressed those videos or completely eradicated those YouTube channels. I wouldn't presume that. But you can't find them by searching within YouTube. You can't find them with a Google search. They have been, in effect, removed from public view. Now, if you go onto the right discussion forum on Reddit or something, maybe there people can share these links. Maybe the information is still being spread, or maybe it's just on websites other than YouTube. But these are two overlapping sorts of opportunities that existed on YouTube in 2016 and do not exist in the year 2020, right? So on the one hand, there was the opportunity to exploit sexuality or other salacious content to reach a large audience. And then on the other hand, there was the possibility of presenting thought-provoking, challenging, unorthodox ideas about politics, about history, about health, about all kinds of matters, and reaching a relatively large audience. People like Freelee and Durianrider were doing both. I mean, the sex appeal, the 90% nudity was a huge part of Freelee's ascent to fame, a huge part of Maddie Lymburner's ascent to fame. And the idea that you could find an audience for a niche message that might indeed be contradicted by university textbooks or high school texts, might be quite at odds with mainstream conventional wisdom, might be quite challenging or unsettling. And that people would come to YouTube in order to hear that perspective. People would come to YouTube to hear something about the assassination of RFK and the assassination of JFK that they would not hear on NBC News, on CNN, or on not even on HBO, right? And when you look at the career of James Aspey and his collaboration for several years with Carly Taylor, again, it was a bit of both. It was trying to pursue money and fame where those two things overlapped. It was very actively and very self-consciously exploiting the sex appeal of James Aspey. And it was very actively and very self-consciously exploiting the sex appeal of Carly Taylor. And they took it as far as they could take it. But in the years 2018, 2019, and now 2020, the potential there was much diminished. I'd say it's exponentially less than it was in 2016. In many, many ways, that opportunity is now completely, utterly over. For better and for worse, right? I was out here lamenting the rise of lifestyle activism. I was out here making really serious warnings about where this type of permanent vacation activism was going to lead us as a movement, or just as individuals. What is we're brainwashing ourselves into? There were disadvantages. There were advantages also, because even though there may have been some crazy crackpot videos about the assassination of JFK and RFK, I really appreciated that I, as an already educated person, I could sift through that and I could find really valuable discussions. I remember a really valuable discussion just getting into the ballistics of the RFK assassination, which bullets matched which guns. You could find really great information on YouTube, let's say 4 years ago, and today you can't. Today it's over. And all of the potential for education and mutual intellectual stimulation and new political movements and organizations and activism emerging from it is over. I sympathize with James Aspey. He is someone who came onto YouTube with one story to tell and one story only, right? He had cancer, he became a drug addict, he became vegan, it improved his life. There is one narrative that he has performed on YouTube again and again and again, but you can't have a career in just that same story being told. To that limited extent, I sympathize with James Aspey just because he is somebody who tried to monetize his life story, but with his life story having been told and him having appeared on numerous talk shows and numerous podcasts and numerous interviews with the press, by that same token, from that point forward, he is a has-been. His career is over. And that's the sense in which social media doesn't make activists of us all, but it makes creative artists of us all. At some point, you run out of a life story to tell. And the question is now, what story is worth telling?